There has never been a better time to start your own business. The rules are changing. It's becoming easier to go from dreaming about your business to actually starting a business of your own. Make money to create a life you love and enjoy greater freedom. Hello, and I'm your host, Ingrid Thompson, and you're listening to So You Want to Start a Business. You can find transcripts of all the podcasts over on my blog at www.healthynumbers.com.au and lots of other really useful business startup information. These podcasts are a collection of interviews with a variety of business owners, entrepreneurs, and other smart guests so that you can learn tips, tactics, and strategies to implement in your business. Are you ready? Let's go. Hello, and today we speak with Claudia Studdert, who has created her own social media consultancy. Here's Claudia. Hello, Claudia, and thanks so much for joining us today.
No problems, Ingrid. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, so to get started, could you just describe what business you are in? What is your business?
My business is a digital marketing consultancy called Media Connect Consultancy. So I work with businesses to manage their digital marketing, so all digital marketing aspects of their business. So whether that be social media, web design, or just sort of campaigns and press releases or publicity,
Fantastic.
I take care of. Yeah.
And when did you start your business?
I started my business officially in February this year, so almost coming up to 6 months ago.
And why? What was the motivation behind starting your own business?
I think I saw in myself that I would maybe be able to do something like that, and I sort of had the marketing skills and sort of knowledge to get into that. And I also just really wanted sort of something that was really fun and that I could really enjoy to kickstart my career.
Very nice. And so if you wanted something fun and to kickstart your career, is that what your business is giving you? Is that one of the things that your business is giving you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's really amazing to be able to work for yourself at
Yes.
such a young age.
Yes.
Just sort of be control of your own life and your sort of the responsibilities you take on. So I think that's a huge thing for me. And just really the having your own business and working for yourself is a huge aspect of what I wanted and why I started up my business. So I've definitely achieved that and I love it. And it's really great. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's good. And so you've officially started in February, but how did it feel real? What was it that made you feel like you were in business? What was the thing that triggered that sense of being in business?
Probably I remember I did a lot of planning. So, I had all my business cards printed and my logo designed, and, all the necessary registrations through the government, ABNs and everything. So I sort of was all sort of set up and then I went around and basically cold called, up at my local shops. And I remember walking back and I had a really great conversation with this interior design and landscape architecture studio. And I think from memory, I met them about a week later. I met both of them and they said that they wanted to move forward with me and they were really excited. So I think that was probably the moment walking home from my local shops that I realized like this was real and I sort of could do something really cool here.
Isn't that lovely?
Yeah, and I still have that client to this day.
Isn't that lovely?
So it's really special.
And it's interesting. I was at a breakfast with Naomi Simpson recently, and that's one of her favourite questions is, do you remember your first actual client or the first purchase in your business? And she was telling different people's stories about that, and she said it's one thing that people just remember forever, that first person who had.
I think I'll definitely always remember it. And yeah, it's really special to have that relationship as well, and
yeah,
it's very sentimental.
Yes, that first client indeed. So how did you know that people needed what you're offering? So what made you think that websites and marketing and PR was something that your clients needed in the particular way you do it?
Well, I remember having a conversation with my dad while I was doing my HSC still, and he sort of, we were talking about what I would do after school, and I was sort of getting a bit anxious about it because I'm a sort of have to plan everything ahead and know what's happening and when and what I'm going to be doing. So I was sort of a bit of a worrier about what would happen when I left school, and he has his own business and he has lots of really great clients, and he sort of mentioned to me that I could do something with managing people's businesses' social media, because obviously being my age and my generation, I've grown up with that, and sort of have those skill sets necessary. And I thought it was a really cool idea. And he said, like, there is a sort of gap in the market while digital marketing becomes so much more important, that people need someone who can, reasonably manage all of their digital marketing. So I sort of think that was when I really thought about it and thought that it was a great idea and that there could be, space for me to start something up.
Yeah, that's a lovely way to describe it, that there's space for you. And Claudia, one of the things we haven't actually made immediately clear to the audience listening is, when did you do your HSC?
Just last year.
Yeah, so this makes you in your teens still. And so to be
Yeah.
starting your business in your teens is very exciting for you, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
It's
Definitely.
it's wonderful. So I always ask people how they fund their business. Now, obviously, for your digital marketing business, you do you have an office, or what sort of equipment did you need? How did you get funded at the beginning?
Well, the wonderful thing about my business is that it didn't require much funding because
Hmm.
obviously all I was putting into it initially was my time,
Yes.
and my skills, really. And of course, there were, administration costs, registering your business name and ABNs um, and website, sort of domain names, etc., business cards. But aside from that, there really weren't any huge costs. And I think I'm really lucky that there weren't, because it could have been a huge sort of a bit of a setback, I guess, being so young and having to fund a huge sort of business startup. So I was really lucky that it's sort of that area doesn't require, many initial investments.
And so, if you wanted to expand, and so in terms of your office, you're able to have a home office?
Yeah, I have
Yeah.
a home office, and I also, my dad has an office in the city, and I can use that
Okay.
um, if I want, because there are always a few days a week where he's not in the office. So I do have that option, but I haven't really used it yet.
No,
Um,
but it would
and,
seem to
if
me a
I,
lot of, sorry.
that's okay. And sort of if I meet, clients, we meet at cafes, and
Uh-huh.
sort of that's pretty normal nowadays anyway.
Yeah.
So there's
That's what
not
I
a
was going
huge.
to say. You're often meeting at their premises or in a cafe or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I'm able to work from home, and given that I'm only 19, I think that's important too.
That
So I can still sort of have my sort of younger life, I guess.
That's right. So, if we think about your customers, now you said you were walking back from your local shops, that you'd been up to visit the interior design and gardenscaping. How do you find new customers? So, how do you go about finding somebody that you want as your customer, and then how do you go about talking to them?
So I'm very selective with who I work with, because it's only fair to both the client and myself that I'm passionate about their business and that I want to achieve results for them. So I'm really sort of I'm very fussy about who I approach. So interior design and landscape architecture, I love sort of interior design and sort of home decoration and inspiration. So that was sort of a natural one for me to approach. But then I also keep an eye out on sort of even just Facebook or LinkedIn, because there are often businesses that actually will say we're looking for someone to do this for us. So I actually have a couple of proposals that I'm waiting on hearing back from now that have just simply stemmed from me seeing that they've needed someone on social media. And one of them is a really huge fashion brand that I absolutely love. It's probably my favorite store in the whole world. So sort of it's quite easy if you keep your eyes out and your ears listening to find people who might need you. Or alternatively, I would do a lot of market research initially and sort of research businesses that I would like to work with and how they manage their digital marketing. And then sort of approach them and say, look, this is what I can do for you. I think that you could improve this. And yeah, I think it's just really about being on top of it and finding businesses that you really want to work with.
So would you say you've developed a niche? Like, is there a niche of the types of businesses that you want to work with?
Yeah, probably. I mean, at the moment I have, all the clients that I have are areas that I'm really interested in and love working for and passionate for. And I have had a couple in the past that I wasn't so interested in, and I think that can really make a huge difference. So I sort of now I'm really, really fussy about who I want to work with, and I've sort of learnt that you really need to form really great business partnerships with your clients in order to achieve results and
Yes.
do the best that you can for them. So, yeah.
Very nice. So, in terms of pricing strategy, so you obviously charge for what you do. You're not doing it as as a good gesture. How do you, when you get started like that, and and I'm sure you've had your own method for choosing a price, and you don't necessarily need to tell us what your price is, but how did you come to decide on how much to charge for the different things that you do?
So my dad helped me a lot with this, and I actually had this little leather-bound book that he got me, I think the year before for Christmas, and I sort of would sit and plot in that the sort of different packages I could offer and what I would potentially charge. But that is quite a challenging thing in the beginning, because when you have no experience in the area that you're about to embark on and you don't really know what people would want to pay. So I think it's really working out. And now I will talk to clients and in proposals, and I'll ask them what their budget is and sort of work to that. So each client is different. I don't think I have any two clients that are on the same retainer. So it's all very different depending on what they need. So I sort of have worked it out as I'm going. I'm still working it out, and I still think of ways that I could, I could price my services, and if there are better ways, or if I'm doing it the right way. So it is really challenging, but I also did a lot of research into other similar companies and what they would offer. And I sort of compiled a bit of a folder on my computer of different packages that different companies provided, and sort of that did help me a little bit. But I think that I was quite different in being a one-man sort of wagon, different to the bigger corporations that offer what I offer. So it was challenging, but I think I've sort of worked it out nearly now.
Yeah, no, it sounds like you probably have. So, Claudia, just to make it easy for the audience listening, just explain why a retainer is a good way to have is a good pricing model. Just your understanding of how a retainer works and why that works for you as a revenue model.
So a monthly retainer, I think that's really important for me, just because it stays the same every month. It doesn't really change ever, and it's very constant, even though some of the workloads may differ upon different months. So I think that's probably why I use a retainer. And also it's just good to have a set out sort of price that a business will be paying you every month. So it doesn't change, and sort of it's just a clear cut way of making sure everyone's happy and the price is what everyone wants to pay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so
A
it's
really bad answer. Sorry.
sorry. No, no, that's a beautiful answer, Claudia, because it's good for the business because they know how much they're spending every month, and it's good for your cash flow because you know how much is coming in every month.
Yeah, exactly. So
Exactly.
I think that's important. And, sometimes I have had clients' retainers change or their needs have changed, and thus we've adjusted the retainer. But overall, it really does stay the same. And
Pretty
it's
much.
just an easy way to do it instead of sort of calculating hours and rates and how much time you've spent. And I mean, I will have some months where, I might spend 4 hours on a client and they'll still pay me the same as if I was spending 10 hours. So it's just an easy way to do it.
And much, much easier for everybody. So it's
Yeah.
probably early days for you, Claudia, and you've been in business for just over 6 months now. But have you thought
Yeah.
about an exit strategy or a growth strategy? Where does this going? Is this, what are your thoughts on that?
Look, at the moment, I'm just sort of enjoying it, letting it just, plod along. And I have had times where it's growing really fast, and I've had, 11 clients, and then I've had times where it's a bit smaller and just sort of I'm just sort of keeping it manageable, and as it grows, it will grow. But I don't have an official exit strategy because I don't think it's something that I will want to exit anytime soon.
Oh,
So I'll probably just let it keep going, and if it grows, and that would be great. And maybe in the next couple of years, I will really try to sort of push it and grow it. But at the moment, I'm just sort of enjoying it and keeping all my clients happy and doing the work.
well, that sounds like a great strategy. And who knows, in a couple of years' time, you might have franchised, or you might have branches, or you might have
Yeah,
staff and a team. And
yeah. I do have a couple of staff, but they're not sort of full time workers or anything. But we'll see.
people who help you get things done. So let's
Yes.
think about. So it is only 6 months, but is there something you wish you'd done differently at the beginning? If you look back over the time and think, gosh, if I'd only done that, what could you have done differently from the beginning?
Um, Probably just being a little more confident in myself and what I had to offer. But I think that is really hard when you're starting out, and especially when you're 19 and you're not really sure of what's going to happen. But yeah, probably just being more confident and just going out and saying, yeah, I'm worth this, and I can do this for you. And sort of instead of sort of tiptoeing around and doing all this, research and planning, and just sort of going out and doing it, I think. But either way, it's worked out well for me, and I am where I am, and I probably wouldn't change too much.
No, it sounds like it. So it sounds like you're the sort of person who likes to plan, and you certainly had
Yeah.
some good advice, from people around you. Was there anything that you wish you'd known from the beginning? So, having a bit more confidence is sort of like what you could have done differently. Is there anything that you've learned in the last little while that you thought, gosh, I wish I'd known that 6 months ago?
Um, Probably that. Probably what I was talking about before, in that you should really work with clients that you really want
Yes.
to work with and that you enjoy working with. I probably wish I'd known that a bit earlier, but I've sort of just learnt that, and I think that's going to be really important in my business's future. And just, yeah, that's probably what I wish I'd known a bit earlier. But
Yeah.
other than that, probably not much. I was quite organized and on top of everything because I'm that sort of person that.
Indeed. And it does sound like that's a good lesson about, who you really want to work with, in terms of that. So you've mentioned your dad, and your dad, being helpful because he's got his own business and being able to give you some guidance in relation to that. Is there anybody else that has been of assistance to you in your business?
Um, Probably my mom. She helps a lot with sort of the more of the admin stuff and proofreading and editing copy for me. But other than that, it's probably just the two of them
Yeah.
that have been the greatest assistance to me.
So it's a wonderful example of a family supporting each other. And we see that a lot in business, don't we? Family taking care of each other and working together.
Yeah, it's great. Sort of dad will help me with the advice and the actual sort of business, the actual business side of it, but then mum's always saying, no, I'll read it for you, I'll edit it for you, and check everything, whether it be a proposal or sort of a press release. That's really helpful to
It's
have.
always good to have another set of eyes over something, isn't it?
Yeah, of course.
So feedback in business is important. Feedback for the business as a whole and feedback for us as individuals. Who can give you good feedback? Where do you get useful feedback from, Claudia?
Um, Probably some of my clients actually that I have really good relationships with. I'll regularly say sort of, are you happy with how everything's going? Do you want me to work on anything differently or sort of manage things differently? And I think that's really important. And also to be able to ask your clients that and sort of just make sure everyone's happy and on the same page. So other than that, I mean, my dad sort of is always in the loop of what's happening with all my clients, and he will give me feedback whether or not I take it. Sort of that's a different story, as he will tell you. But it's definitely helpful to have feedback. And I think if you can ask people that you are doing work with and that you are working for, if you can ask them sort of if they're happy, then that's really vital for both parties.
Yeah, and a client's a wonderful place to get feedback from. So maybe some of your buddies from HSC, maybe some of your friends, or maybe there's other people even that you just meet, have said to you it would be great to start their own business. What advice would you give them from your experience? What advice would you give someone who thinks they want to start a business?
Probably do lots of reading, research, and just go out and do it and be confident in yourself and have fun as well. It's meant to be fun. It's not meant to be just work. So I think that's really important to know.
Yep. So if there were 3 key characteristics that you have that make you successful, now you've hinted at a couple of them. One is about planning and having fun, but what are the characteristics that make you successful?
I think probably my confidence, my communication skills are really important, and also my organization and sort of ability to plan everything, because that's really important when you're managing a whole number of clients and you're just by yourself. So yeah, probably organization, confidence, and communication.
And communication. So, Claudia, thanks so much. And it's just been delightful to talk to you. And I know, from looking at your website and from, having spoken to you prior to the interview, that, you've got so much enthusiasm and tenacity, and you're just really wanting to provide a great service to people. So, before we finish, is there anything else that I haven't asked you that you think would be useful? Because the people that are listening to this interview are people who are either in the early stages of their business or are thinking about starting a business. So what else that I haven't asked do you think would be useful for them?
I think probably just knowing that having your own business and working for yourself allows sort of so many opportunities for you to sort of design your life. And that's been really important to me. And I think sort of if you're working for yourself and you don't have sort of set office hours or times, I think it's really important to be able to make sure you can manage your time really well, and sort of plan your weeks and how long you're going to spend on work. So I'm also a show jumper, so I train 5-6 days a week with my horse. So it's really important that I can allow time for that, but also come home and do my work and, sort of set hours for me, even for myself, even if I don't actually set the hours, sort of, I'll sit down and work on what I need to work on. And I think that's really important.
Is to be able to get the time right for everything that you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, that is really hard at the beginning. I was sort of like, I tried to sort of plan out, sort of Mondays I'll work on my business and Thursdays and Fridays, but it doesn't really work like that. I think it's just juggling it each day and sort of making sure you have lots of time and you know what needs to be done for clients. So, and just sort of, enjoying it and, in loving sort of the flexibility that it offers.
Because sometimes you might have set aside Monday to work on your business, but a client rings you on Wednesday, and then what do you do?
Yeah, exactly. So it's just being able to be really flexible, and just sort of go with the flow, but also sort of plan ahead and know what you've got to get done. So I sort of will sit on, I think I have normally Monday nights, I work quite late and I sort of plan all the social media posts for the week, and I sort of will write a list of everything that needs to be done for that week, for each client. And I think that's really important, and to just sort of get everything down on paper, what needs to be done, and just having a process and sort of times that you can tell clients as well, sort of like, I'll be doing this on Monday nights, and then that will be done for the week, and then I'll be doing this on Tuesdays, and yeah.
Very nice. Very good. Well, Claudia, thanks so much for allocating so much time for us today. And I thank you and wish you all the very best. And we'll look out for that fashion brand when we you have to let us know, and we'll put it in the show notes. Hopefully,
I know, it would be wonderful, but I'm not sure. There's a lot of other people who want the role, so we shall see. Time will tell.
Well, but the thing is, you as an individual, may just have that may have that edge that's different to everybody else. So,
hopefully, I hope so. It would be really great.
Alrighty, thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Ingrid. It was lovely to be a part of this and to talk to you. Thank you so much.
If you're listening to this podcast, chances are you're dreaming of starting your own business. We've put together the Business Startup Readiness Quiz over at www.healthynumbers.com.au. Take the quiz. This quiz is specifically designed to help you set solid foundations to be a successful business startup. www.healthynumbers.com.au. Thanks for listening.